Hello friends, welcome back. We are working on the movie details page, and before we closed our last episode we had created the structure of the page. Now let's continue and fill in the bindings. Before I do that, perhaps a little theoretical concept about ZOAPIIO I must explain, which is that of the application context. So app context is a global object in which you can store pretty much anything you want. It's for you to use, and it is used to share information across different pages. And app context is what we're going to use to communicate between the movie listing page where we have the movie data and the movie detail page where we want to display it. Okay, so let's return to the movies listing page and add a page flutter element here, okay, which I've already added, and I'll just walk you through as to what it does. Here what we're doing is we are listening to the click event on the movies block. So here, like we did before, click is the event, movies is the name of the page, and movie is the name of the element which you see here. And this is the handler. We receive the target as to the block that was clicked, and this is of the type UI view. It is a ZOAPIIO object, and it is an abstraction of the view. You can query all the information about the view as to what was the data that's rendered and the contents and everything. So we query the property called the data, which means what is the data that's being rendered in that block. Okay, and we know that movie is a block that repeats. So we will get the data against the block that was clicked. And we do resolve value, and it's something you can look it up in the documentation what it does. So from this we are extracting the value of the data as a dynamic. It gives you an object called UI data, which is an internal object. But when we say resolve value, we are converting it to a dynamic, which is a hash, pretty much. And then we manually call the load page. Instead of linking it to the navigation button, we are calling the load page programmatically. We give it the name of the page, and we pass this new context, patch context. What this means is that before loading the page, we want to put something in the app context by the name movie, and the value is the data. So this is it's a simple method. All we are doing is just setting up a call to the next page. One more thing we need to do is in the movie block, we need to configure under events, we need to configure click. That's because a view or an element by itself does not emit any event except buttons and sub. They emit events, but everything else we must explicitly ask for. So here we are saying that we are interested in the click event. Then we come back here and we handle it. And now on to the detail page itself. So we come here and let's look at the root view. And let's see what we are putting in the data source. So far we have used, we know that we can use a local source or an API source. Now here we're learning about the third option, which is an app context value. So what we're saying is that the data source is not to be fetched, it's already there. Just look up the app context and the value of movie, and that's the data. And we know that before calling this page, we have populated this value. Then the source of this structure, again, we have to declare, right? Because otherwise the bindings can't be managed. And the structure of this is response/movies, which is the description of each movie. Nothing needs to be here in the binding because binding is going to be for the elements inside the view. Then we come to the detail pick. and we bind it to the picture. Like we did before. And one more thing we're doing is we are binding the name to the hero tag. I'll explain what this is. It's a part of the Flutter feature, is where it creates a little animation. When you click on a picture and a new page comes which has the same picture, it creates a little animation as if the image is jumping out of the page. And when you go back, it creates a reverse animation as if the image is kind of being sucked back into the page. And since we have the same image on the listing page as well as on the detail page, it's nice to have that animation. And, so that's what we're doing. We are creating a hero tag and binding it to the name. Then we come to the detail name. We just bind it to the name, nothing else. Detail year, bind it to the year. And similarly the plot, we bind it to the plot. So the bindings are coming from the root view, which is bound to an app context value, which we are providing before launching this page. So the sequence of events is we register an event click with the block. We then come here and we listen to that event. We capture the details of the block that was clicked, get its data, put it in an app context, and launch the new page. And the new page is already bound to take value from that app context. Right? Simple, pretty simple, I think. System is managing all the plumbing for you. You just setting the pointers. Really just very, very abstract, high level specification of what you do. System manages the details. Let's now generate the Flutter project and see what we get. Let's also deploy, because it's been a while since we deployed. We made changes. And let's run it. Okay, there you go. So you have the listing page, you click and the new page appears. I don't know if you noticed that little animation. But that's what the purpose of the hero tag is. It makes it look like the image is jumping out of the page. The rendering of the page itself is it can be improved, and I'm sure you know the tools by now. If you want to create spacing around a particular block, you want to change the size, style, a lot of things you can do, and hopefully you can try those things out yourself. So this completes the movies listing and the movies details page of our Harry Potter app. And in the next episode, what we're going to do is we're going to start looking at the feedback page. So I'll see you in the next episode.